Talk Chicago Bears fans. How are you today? All right, well, it's Friday before the big playoff game. Playing the New Orleans Saints on Sunday in New Orleans. It's the late game, middle afternoon game. And so let's get to it. Lots to talk about, and it's not really positive in our favor when I start to give you the stats. The fact that Roquan Smith does not look like he's playing. Now, it could change. As of today, he has not practiced all week. And it was his elbow, and I just don't think he's going to play. And then JJ, as I call JJ, Jalen Johnson, our cornerback, who has missed the last 3 games. Now, he might play because he did a partial practice today. So we'll see. But let's get into it, and then we can talk about it a little bit. Okay. So Sunday is a wild card game. Bears just snuck in through the back door last week. And as you know, I'm not a fan of that, but it is what it is. And of course, I'd like to see them win, but I just not sure. On paper, they don't stand a chance. But let's see. Bears are 8-8. The Saints are 12-4. Excuse me. The Bears and the Saints have played 32 times with 2 playoff games, and in those 2 playoff games, the Bears actually won both of them. The Bears are trailing right now. They have 15 wins to the Saints' 17 wins. I real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to our kicker, Santos, for getting named Player of the Month for December. Right on, man. We have a kicker. So the Bears better get their shit together and get him signed now. Okay. Calm down, Lynn. That's all I'm saying. But so we're talking about and the biggest game the Bears played. One of the biggest games the Bears played with the Saints, if you remember, depends how old you are, back in 2007, actually, was the NFC Championship game. It was on January 21st, 2007, in Soldier Field, and the Bears actually won 39-14, which gave them the crown. They went to the Super Bowl, and we all know what happens there. They sucked, and they lost. Peyton Manning got his first Super Bowl. But the funny thing about that game, and I remember, is nobody in the country except for Illinois people were rooting for the Bears. Everybody was rooting for the Saints. It was all over the news because, number one, the Saints had never been to a Super Bowl yet, and number two, they were still getting back from all the loss and devastation of Hurricane Katrina in 2005. So everybody thought, okay, this is their chance and stuff like that, but no, it didn't happen. The Bears won, so right on Bears, okay? All right, so, and the last time the Bears played was this year. If you guys remember, they played November 1st. That game was also in Soldier Field, but unfortunately, we lost in overtime. The score was 26-23, and Nagy just called a shit-ass game on that game, too, so, and Foles was in. You know how much I don't like him, so we won't even think about that. Okay, so Mitchell, what does Mitchell have to date? He has 2,055 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, with, unfortunately, 8 interceptions. And remember, he's only played about 8.5 games, and he's been sacked 18 times. We can't let that happen this week. And the Saints' defense is good. We're going to get to that, too. Montgomery, he's got rushing 1,070 yards. He has 8 touchdowns. And in my opinion, he should have a lot more yards than he does because Nagy should have started running this kid months ago into the season. But you know when Nagy calls plays, they're not rushing. And if they're rushing plays, they're stupid-ass rushing games. Just look at the Green Bay game. I don't need to say anymore. Allen Robinson has 1,250 receiving yards, and he has 6 touchdowns. And I said on Monday's show, where the hell was he in the first half of that Green Bay game? I don't understand it. I can't believe that he was even blocked that well. So I'm a little confused by that. But either it was injury related or Nagy, again, clueless. Nagy loser. Mr. Mooney our my favorite guy. You know, I love him. I've been talking about him all season. He's our rookie. He's got 631 receiving yards with 4 touchdowns, and he's really starting to play at a high level. He is catching stuff that is just great, and he is only going to get better, better, and better as it goes. Next year, I think we're going to see a huge jump from this year to next year, providing we have a quarterback to throw to him, which we all know that is just the $1 million question, right? Will be an interesting off season. But unfortunately, Mr. Mooney has not played this week in practice because he hurt his ankle in last week's game and he's questionable. So that could be a big loss. So these are our powerhouses in our offense, okay? So when I start to read to you the New Orleans Saints stuff, it's like, okay, she's right. We're not going to win this game. So Breeze, he missed at least 3 games this season with 9 broken ribs and a punctured lung, and the guy's what, 39, 40 years old? I don't know, but man, oh man. I slightly hairline fractured my rib, gosh, many, many years ago. And I was in so much freaking pain for so long. I don't know how they can play. I just don't. God bless them. Football players are gods to all of you. Okay, so Breeze has, just wait to hear all this stuff. Breeze has 2,942 yards throwing, passing, 2,942. He has 24 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions, and he's been sacked 13 times. Now, obviously, that's not as crazy as Rodgers was last week, but the guy could sling the ball still. He's not going to beat you. Well, I shouldn't say that. With really long passes this year, I don't see it happening, and I don't think after breaking all those ribs he can still do that. So he's going to hit us on the short stuff, I think, and maybe that'll give us a chance. But they also got another quarterback, Taysom Hill, who, that guy is crazy. So let me read you his. So he started 2 of the 3 games that Breeze missed at the end here. So Taysom Hill has passed for 928 yards, and he is a part-time at best quarterback. That's pretty darn impressive. He has 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 14 times. So there's some vulnerability there, it appears, with the line. So that's something we can concentrate on, and maybe our guys up front. And I hope that Chuck goes after these guys more. He should have went after Green Bay Rodgers a lot more last week, and he did not. But I think it was because we were missing JJ in the backfield and Roquan Smith, so he didn't feel confident the guys in the back subbing could make up for that loss. So it's probably why we didn't go after him, rush him as much. But so Taysom Hill, that's his quarterbacking now. I said 928 yards, and he only started 2 games, and that's all the others. He comes in all the time for if you've watched New Orleans enough, you'll know that he comes in, Breeze goes to the sideline, etc. He has rushing yards that are substantial. Along with his passing yards, he has 457 rush yards and 8 touchdowns. Okay. Then their running back is also a dual threat. Kamar. He's got his rushing are 932 yards, and he's got 16 touchdowns. And he's got passing yards of 756 passing yards received as playing wide receiver, and he's got 5 touchdowns. So he's a running back. He's got 932, and when he's a wide receiver, he's got 756. Dang, that's good. This guy is really good. And then Murray, a wide receiver for the Saints, has 656 yards with 4 touchdowns. So if you thought about what I just said, on paper right there, they've got us wiped. I mean, offensively, I don't know. That is just some good football talent there. So, let's see. The Bears, and they got us on this too. The Bears offense ranks 23rd. The Saints offense is 5th. Not surprising after I just read you what I did, right? The Bears defense is 14th. and because that Green Bay game did not help their rankings, and because we were in the top 10 before that Green Bay game, and we dropped down to 14th, and then the Saints are also fifth in defense, so we're in trouble. So as I talked about, Roquan Smith, when he went out last week, that changed the game tremendously, because then they started passing to their tight ends and stuff. And because Danny Trevathan was his became the number one linebacker out there, Danny couldn't keep up with them. And I don't have to tell you what happened. The points went on the board. And I don't know how good their tight ends are, but and I did say that in my opinion, Breeze will do the shorter passes. I don't believe he's got that arm and the wherewithal to do the long passes anymore. He's just been beat up, and I just don't think he's got it. So he's going to do shorter stuff. So it doesn't look like Smith's going to play. He might be a last minute insert, but I don't know. That elbow looked like it hurts, and Danny's got to step up. I mean, that's just it. I'm not sure. Mangle could be the third linebacker. We'll see. So that's something we got to concentrate on the offseason too, is linebackers. Jalen Johnson, our cornerback, he hasn't played the last 3 weeks, and his backup is number 20 Duke Shelley, which was awful last week. And if JJ can't go Sunday and we have to put Duke in, we're going to be in trouble. It won't be pretty. Now JJ looked like he participated half of today's practice, so that might be a good sign, but he's got an ankle problem. And when you got an ankle problem, when you're a wide receiver or cornerback, you can't push off, that could become a problem. So we'll have to see. Those are two really good players. And just like the first time we played Green Bay, when Hicks was out, they ran up and down the field. But last week, Hicks was in, and they didn't even get 100 yards. And with their running back. So one bright spot in a terrible game, But I'm just trying to show you players make a difference. It is a team sport, but if you pluck one or two really good ones out, and Roquan Smith has really matured. This is his third year and he's really he's the play caller out there on the field. He's in charge, and he's not in, and we see how important and how good he really is. So that's pretty much it. I could have done some more stats, but you know what? It's the end of the year. It's playoff football. Everything kind of goes out the window in playoff football, right? So anything can happen. I even read something, and I've had a few Packer fans tell me, Packers beat us twice this year. We all know that. And if the Bears were to win on Sunday, they might have to play the Packers again. I don't know. It just depends on who wins and who loses. And somebody said to me, if you guys win and we play again, it'll be great because then we'll beat you 3 times in the year. But actually, the statistics show if you play 3 times in a year, a lot of times that third game, the loser wins it, meaning the Bears would win that game because the odds are more with them. But the talent is, it's undeniable. I think Rodgers had going into last week's game 44 touchdowns. I think he had at least 4. So in our game, so he's at 48. That's insane. So we'll have to see. Let's get this game over with first, right? Let's see what the Bears do. You never know. I believe any team can be beaten on any given day. Remember many years ago, not that long ago, but it was within the last 10 years, I believe, that New England won every game, was 16-0, and then went to the playoffs and lost. They didn't even go to the Super Bowl. So you know what I mean? That just tells you, I'm sorry, my cat is being a butt today. Elvis, I'm sorry. He doesn't like it when I'm not paying attention to him. Whatever. So we'll see, right? But the playoffs are here. I love playoff football. Generally, you see the best football of the season. Although this year, I'm not totally convinced I'm going to see the best football because it's just been a weird year. Look at there's a team. The Washington team is 7-9, and they're in the playoffs. So what does that tell you, right? Although I admire their quarterback Alex Smith. He is a he is just somebody, another one you should bow your heads to after what he went through in the last 2.5 years with 17 surgeries on his leg. He caught a staph infection and he almost died, and here he's back out in the field. Amazing man. So he is a. I wish them all the luck. So, but with this pandemic and all the bullshit that they happened this year, I'm just grateful we got through the season because most people didn't think we'd be here. So let's enjoy it, right? So enjoy this weekend. Hopefully, we do get to see some really good football, and maybe the Chicago Bears will sneak out a win. You never know. I mean, it was the 2020 season. It's not 2020 anymore, but we can still say they did come from the 2020 season, and anything can happen, right? Okay, so I'm not sure if I told this story, but I'm almost sure I did. So, but there's new viewers, there's new subscribers, so I'm just going to tell it. Whenever I think of New Orleans, and that's where we're going to be playing Sunday, it takes me back to the '85 Super Bowl Bears when they were the '85 team, and they actually won the Super Bowl in January of 1986, and that was played in New Orleans, and they won 46-10. And I always think about it because that was quite a year for your youngsters. You only see stuff, but our defense was the best defense I think ever put on a football field. I'll always say that. Now you can't play like that anymore, so you can't compare them to today's defense because none of them would be playing because they all would have been kicked out in the first quarter because they were just downright mean. They scared quarterbacks. I mean, some of these quarterbacks would have look like deer in headlights. And I forget the quarterback that played for New England in that Super Bowl but the guy he looked scared. I'm pretty sure he went up to the coach at one point and said, "Please put the backup in. I'm not going back out there." So anyways, we were having a Super Bowl party, of course, had some close friends over, and I was sitting, and I know I told this story, my lucky chair that after the Dallas game that year, we won 44-0. I never sat in any other, no, it was after the Minnesota game. Take that back. Early in the year, and I always sat in that chair, that uncomfortable lucky chair the rest of the season. Why I said the Dallas game was that the Dallas game was at my friend's house, and it was in Dallas, and when we went to their house to watch the game, I took a chair with. I swear to God. And it was this wooden chair. But so I was sitting in it, and we had our friends over, and of course we were partying, and the only time I ever got out of that chair that day of the Super Bowl was to pee and to get another drink. So my husband, before the Super Bowl, made, again, this is going to age me, and some of you people are going to go, "What did she just say?" But my husband made 2 cassette tapes, and that's basically recordings. It was a thing about this big, and it was recording tape, and you played, you record songs from your albums onto the tape, and then you'd put it in your tape player, and you'd play the cassettes. So it's just back then we didn't have CDs. All we had was albums. So you could record it on it, and then you could do that. So he played 2. He made 2 cassette tapes. One with a bunch of songs on it from albums we had or whatever. And the first one was for if the Bears win, and the second one he'd play if the Bears lost. Fortunately, the Bears won. So the first song, he puts the tape in. We're winning. We're jumping up and down. And he puts in, and the first song was Queen's "We Are the Champions." We played that so loud, and we were all singing it and jumping up and down. It was awesome. And then I did something pretty funny. Now, this is something most of you probably won't know what I'm talking about. But back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, black and white movies, drama movies, every once in a while, and you saw it, it wasn't just once, I saw it many times, I don't know why, but there'd be a scene, and the man or woman would take a drink, and the fireplace would be there, and when he'd done, he'd go, and he'd throw the glass into the fireplace, and it, puffed up a little bit, and the glass broke, and I said it. I've said it many times. I would love to do that. Of course, we didn't have a fireplace where we lived. So, anyways, we're all partying, and the champagne starts to come out. We open the champagne, and we're all drinking. I finished my glass, and I looked at my friend, and I said, I've always wanted to throw a champagne glass into a fireplace. And she said, but you don't own one. And I said, yeah, I know. That's the problem. So this is what I'm going to do. So I took the glass and I whipped it across the room. And unfortunately, it went right by my husband's face. And he's like, and he looked mad. My girlfriend's like, uh-oh, he looks mad. And I'm like, yeah, he does, doesn't he? And he goes, who just threw that glass? Well, the last thing he expected to hear was, Lynn. And they all pointed at me. He started to laugh. I said, well, it was empty. And we just laughed. And that party went into wee hours of the night. And I actually had a 2-day hangover. Seriously, I was not better on Tuesday. It was, woo, was I hungover. I've never in my life had a 2-day hangover except for the Bears Super Bowl win in it was 1986, and it was also my husband's birthday. So then the Super Bowl party turned into a birthday party, and it just was insane. So that's my stories of whenever I think of New Orleans. That. And the one thing my husband and I did regret, because we knew some people that did it later and we thought about it, we should have done that, is all our friends should have just hopped in the car and drove to New Orleans, and we could have flown, and then just went to the, because my friends just went and they partied in the bars in New Orleans and watched the game, and then when the Bears won, everybody went out in the street and partied. I'm like, now that would have been fun. So, but shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? All right. So, guys, got to put all your good luck stuff on Sunday. Anything that a Bears you've worn, sat in, drank out of, eaten the day the Bears win, you got to do that on Sunday. That's all I'm saying. Not too superstitious. Ooh. Well, remember, I am stuck with this face. All right, you guys. All kidding aside, oh God, look at this hair. You know what? Oh well, who cares? I mean, I do make fun of it all the time. Remember, my dad's face on a woman's body, it just isn't fair. It just isn't fair. Listen, I did want to wish you all a happy, good year this year. A happy, healthy year this year. I know I probably said it on Monday, but I'm saying it again because this pandemic, in my opinion, a lot of ways it's worse than it was when it started, because I personally did not know anybody that had it. I know now 9 people that either had it in the last month or have it. So it's scary. So please stay safe. And, let's stick together. Like I always say, let's stick together, help each other out, love one another. We're all in this together. And let's cross everything you can possibly cross for the Bears to win on Sunday, all right? So, as always, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby, and go Bears!